Hey, good afternoon again. Welcome back to the Psychology Cafe, place where you learn psychology as much as you can about psychology. We have it here. All right. This afternoon we'll be looking at the goals of psychology. You have goals, right? And your goals speaks to your functions, what you want to achieve, right? And psychology has goals. The psychologists they have goals as well. So let's talk about the four goals of psychology this afternoon. The four goals of psychology are to describe behavior, to understand behavior or explain behavior, to predict behavior, and to control behavior. So those are the four goals of psychology. And it's all speak to behavior. Last time we talked about what is psychology, and we said that psychology is a systematic study of human and animal behavior. Right? And we talk about behavior being covert or overt, right, in nature. Right? So now we're looking at the goals of psychology. And the goals of psychology also speaks to the goals of psychologists. What psychology wants to achieve, what psychologists want to achieve, right? So let's go into the first goal of psychology: describe behavior. Naturally, psychology try to describe what happened, the behavior itself, right? So therefore, what psychology does is to say what the behavior looks like. Okay, I am doing this, right? Rubbing my eyes. So you describe, okay, he rubs his eyes every second and quint his eyes, right? Every every 2 seconds or so, right? So you're describing the behavior. Use the finger next to his thumb to bash over his eyes, his right, his left eye, and so on, or his right eye for that matter, wherever. And so that is describing behavior, right? And besides describing behavior, psychologists and the psychology wants to understand or explain behavior, right? So they go about to say the the why, right? That's where they understand the explanation, the why. He does that because he has something in his eye. He felt some sort of grit in his eye burning. So he does that. So it's a matter of the why. So psychologists want to describe what happened, the behavior, and also wants to say why or explain the behavior, as it happens, right? So description of the behavior, and also say why or explain the behavior, right? And psychologists also try to predict behavior. Okay, this will happen at the same time, right? So look, tomorrow at 15:26, he will be doing the same thing, right? So I can predict that because he had done it based on theory. We usually make that prediction based on theory. He had done it at the same time over the past 5 weeks, so it's highly likely that he will be doing it again, right? It's highly likely that he will have this behavior, and again based on theory, right? If Kelly's theory of attribution says that it is likely that he will do this because it's his personality, then we are expecting him to do that, right? If Erickson's theory of psychosocial development says that at this age it will be isolation versus intimacy, therefore we expect him to want to get intimate and go out with a lot of persons, right? And not necessarily to have that committed relationship because he's at the stage of the psychosocial development, Erickson's psychosocial development, where it's expected that this will happen. So we predict that that will happen based on the theory, the psychological theory, right? That is available. So yeah, so we describe the behavior, explain or understand the behavior, then we predict the behavior that it will happen, right? And yeah, naturally we understand and explain the behavior through theories as well, right? So the next thing I always say is control doesn't mean manipulating, right? Psychologists and psychology control behavior. We do that a lot, especially as educational psychologists, which I am also an educational psychologist. If we want to facilitate to induce learning into a particular environment or into the classroom, we will perhaps suggest that in order to control learning, the meaningfulness of learning, the rearrangement of the classroom is important, right? This aspect of ensuring that the classroom is print rich, right, is critical for a um, certain type of learners, right? We can also control people's behavior by sort of reinforcing certain things, right? We talked about, well, we haven't talked about that, but we would have known that if you do something to good for somebody, chances are that they will also like you. We talk about impression management, things like that. So you control, you can make people like you. We talk about that later on in this series, right? Impression management, impression formation, making people like you, right? So therefore, it's a matter of controlling behavior, but not manipulating people, right? You don't hold people's hands and put there and say, hey, you will do this, you will do that. But based on how you rearrange the environment, the individual behavior are controlled because people react to stimuli. You know that, right? People react to stimuli. So therefore, you are reacting to the environment. So if I come every day and I give you something that you love, right? Because you cross the road properly, right? I can predict that you will cross the road properly again if I give you something nice, right? That you love, right? Because you cross the road properly, right? However, we will look at this later on as well. That thing that you love, if you don't love it again, then chances are you will just don't care about crossing the road properly. But we'll go through that later on, right? But the point is that you are able to control behavior through psychology. Psychologists does that, right? Based on rearranging the environment or making a certain situation available so that the person's behavior can be adjusted. Um, and I mean, it's nothing that you do more than change the environment as a psychologist, right? Or as psychology does, right? But the person does respond to the new environment, the new stimulus or stimuli, and therefore a changed behavior. So describing behavior, that's one of the first goal that we looked at, and it's basically saying what the behavior is, right? And understanding slash explain behavior is basically saying why the behavior um, happened, why the person behaved that way, right? And predicted behavior is basically saying, okay, we believe or we predict that this will happen again. This behavior will will occur again, right? Controlling behavior is basically changing the environment in order to influence, call it that, influence the behavior of the individual, right? So you control the behavior in that sense, but not manipulating the person, not manipulating. Psychologists and psychology do not manipulate individuals. So we need to get that right. Okay? We need to get that right. So so the goals of psychology is critical. If you're going to be looking at psychology any at all, you need to understand the goal of psychology. So describing behavior, describing some behavior, right? That you know that is a signal, right? Right? That the person actually produced, right? And it is important for you to understand that, right? Psychologists are very interested also in explaining the behavior rather than just saying what the behaviors are, rather than just predicting the behavior. So we are interested in saying what the behavior, why the behavior happened the way the way we are seeing it manifested, right? And we must be able to do that if we're going to get anywhere. So that not we as psychologists and the discipline of psychology doesn't only look at the 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 behavior itself as if to what it is, but we must be able to explain the behavior, to understand the behavior ourselves, and to let others understand the behavior. That is extremely critical. Making predictions about how we think, right? And as we would see it based on theory, the behavior will exert itself, right? And that prediction, as we said, in the third goal of psychology. And the last of the four goals of psychology is basically controlling behavior. And as we have said, and I keep reiterating it, controlling behavior is not manipulated behavior, or it's not manipulative in nature, but it's basically changing the environment, right? And it's really aimed to change, influence, right, or control the surrounding of the people or of the individual, the animals, so that you can have a changed behavior, right? So those are the goals of psychologists. And the psychologists think about it. Four goals. You remember them? Oh, yeah. Describing behavior, understanding behavior, predicting behavior, and controlling but not manipulating behavior. Thank you for listening. We will look at the perspectives of psychology in our next session. Thank you.